Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each week, we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I am Benedicte, and today I am feeling all the feels.
And I'm Benedikt. Today is June 22nd. This is episode number 96, and I'm feeling productive.
So jealous.
Brian just sent a message before we started recording that his internet is super crappy today, and he shared screenshots of like less than 1 megabit upload and like 0.2 download speeds. Sounds like he's barely able to send messages. So he's skipping on short notice today.
Struggles. He had some struggles last week as well. So we'll have to cross our fingers and like pray to the internet gods that he will be back next week.
But by the way, like we didn't quite touch on this in the last week's recording. Welcome to the show as an official co-host.
Woohoo! Nailed the audition.
Yeah, you did. And I feel like Brian's internet troubles last week during the recording and his internet troubles today are just one more confirmation that this was a good idea.
So it might just be Benedicte for weeks at a time, but no, hopefully he gets in. He needs internet to work as well, so I'm really hoping he gets that, like he gets better internet moving forward. Otherwise, yeah.
Like let's not hope this will be like the plan wasn't to make this a 2-person show going forward, but I mean it's still better than just me babbling alone. So
it's hard to tell. It's hard. I do wonder how the people who do these solo shows do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't.
I do solo streams, but then I code, so I have something to like talk about, but I do status updates alone as well, I guess, but those are more anyway for this show, better with the conversation. So
absolutely, this is the spirit. Like this is a conversation type show. So better to be a 2-person team on this. Anyways, what's up on your side? What happened?
Yeah, so I said feeling all the feels. So it's been a crazy week because I am like super stoked about the Gatsby Summer Functions that I talked about last week, which is kind of my Queen Ray project. And then I'm a little sad I haven't done anything for POW really this week. And then on Friday, we finally got confirmation about like a year or two of struggles with my mom that she has Alzheimer's. So that kind of was very like a big relief that we finally got the diagnosis, but also, I don't know, made it final. And I started relaxing in a way, I guess. So this weekend I was just like very tired. So I'm like stoked. I'm tired. I'm not feeling productive on some project. Very jealous about your productive feeling. So it's a big thing. It's gonna be she's our landlord and neighbor, so we're gonna be like having to manage that in between like business stuff in the coming year. So we'll see how much energy that takes or kind of time. But it also got me like, I really want this like Ray codes, Queen Ray stuff to work, because it would be nice to have, a little kind of side income from that this summer. So I can take some more time off next year. But let's we don't have to talk.
Sorry to hear about that. That's obviously not good news, but I can relate to the feeling of relief, or like finally knowing what's going on and like getting rid of the uncertainty. That's even though it's sad news, it's kind of also good to know finally, right?
Yeah, and also like the problem solver in me is like, okay, now we have something.
Now we know what we're dealing with.
We know what we're dealing with, and also it's such a not simple. Clear. It's such a clear thing that like everything else falls into place in regards to like social benefits and treatments, or not. There aren't any treatments, but like how we can follow up and get help from different parts of our system here in Norway. So it's very good in that way that we have something very concrete that we can work around and get help for, and none of that like, well, maybe she just like, we don't know, it's and as she's so young, she's only 61, so it took them a lot of time to like realize that it was actually the problem and not other stuff. So anyhow, she was a high-earning consultant until 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So also put a little bit into the perspective that, might only have, another 16 good years in me and not like 30 or 40 or whatever I had pictured in my mind. I don't know about you.
Well, but you never know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could be living through 100 or even get even older and be like a consultant with 100, who knows?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or maybe you fall off a cliff tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which I don't hope will happen.
I hope it happens to any of us. No, it's kind of, it is. It does give a little bit of a perspective on, and also on POW, which is kind of, what I try to keep as my main focus and my main business. Like I really want POW to like become like my big thing, my life's work, I guess. But I keep doing other things. So I'm going to try and take the advice I gave Brian last week about just working on it a little bit at a time, because it feels, and there are some features that aren't that big, but I just make them big because it just feels like such like an important and big project, that I don't start taking those bites out of the elephant or whatever that that quote is. So I'm going to take that advice and try to just like do 15 minutes a day, as I told Brian last week, and just keep at it, because it is important to me and I need to move forward on that. So I had some more updates, but let's move over to your productive week before we talk about any of my other stuff.
Okay, fair enough. I was just about to say, like, it's not like you maybe didn't get a lot of work done on POW, but like just everything else you did, that's an achievement already. So
yeah, I'm pretty so
feel bad about anything.
Okay, I'll summarize then, since you like prompted me. So to go to the summary, as I was a little bit of a wobbly intro there, but I felt like if people know me around the internet, if like I fall out every now and then from the internet, you might know why then, since we've shared the personal news. But on the business side, so Queen Ray has been super busy. So I managed to get the program for Gatsby Summer Functions nailed. And there are some really cool bonuses coming. I already have Jason Langsdorff, he used to be DevRel, but I think now he's like chief of developer experience at Netlify, to do a bonus episode on how to deploy Gatsby functions to Netlify. And then there are other fun bonuses in the works. Just check out queen.ray.codes. And then I have a little bit of a question, though, for you and Brian, but Brian's not here. I called it Gatsby Summer Functions, and I thought about starting it pretty early in July, but now it seems it's going to be like July 17th to August 27th. And would that still be summer to you in like your country? Is end of August still summer?
Yeah, like for me personally, end of August is still pretty much summer. It probably even like fall, at least in my mind, only starts in October or so.
Okay, that's great news, because in Norway, it's kind of like summer is like 2 weeks in July, I feel like. Right now, it's super cold. Suddenly, like after a month of nice spring weather, like today I'm in a scarf because suddenly it was like 14 degrees today instead of like the summerly 20. So I felt like, oh, summer has to be in July. But then I thought about Americans as well. And they often like September is still summer for them as well. So I was like, maybe it could work to just like move it. So I have a little bit more vacation, give myself a little bit more vacation than just a week this year before the summer function.
Also, like always, like the Southern Hemisphere. So
yeah,
there's summer somewhere almost all at all times, right?
Yeah, I can do the summer functions for Christmas for the Australians. I have some friends down in Australia, so maybe I should just go there for Christmas and do summer functions again. I don't know if do they call it summer though, or do they call it winter? Like, do they call it summer and it's cold, or do they call it winter and it's warm?
I guess it's summer for them. I mean, I think the definition of summer is that it's sunny and warm and no snow.
I need to look this up now. I've never thought about it, actually. Wow. Got to look that up. But anyway, so that was Queen Ray. And then, as I said, the Pau Benedicte hasn't really done anything, and I need to take my own advice. But I still have some time to make something that I can show on Friday, because that's the show and tell I told you about last week. So either I'm just going to finally make the demo data that I need to kind of show off Pau without showing off my personal data. Or I'll work on that calendar feature. I think probably just the demo data so I can actually show it, because that's been on the backlog for a long time and shouldn't take that long. It's just a boring thing to do. So I think I'm just going to do that for Friday. And then, as I said, summer vacation is coming up. So on Saturday, we go sailing. And then on Tuesday next week, we're going to my mom's cabin for like almost a week. And then it's back in Oslo for Oslo summer. Which I think will be really fun. Usually I go to Sweden to I have a summer house in Sweden as well. But I haven't been able to go there last summer and this summer because, the pandemic. And it's the first time since the war that the border between Norway and Sweden got closed, which is kind of weird. But it's open again, but there's quarantine and blah, blah, blah. So we're not going there this summer, but next summer. And then in August, I'm just saying my plans out loud so that I will stick to them. So in August, it will be all hands on deck for Pau, because I have then a full month before I go back to my client in September. So yeah, that's all that's my week or my update. Yeah, now we can go over to your super productive week. I'm very inspired by it, by the way.
I still have one more question though.
Oh, I'm trying to.
Am I allowed to ask questions? It feels like I'm kind of pretending that I didn't do anything this week. I don't want to talk about my stuff, but I noticed at some point last week you had pricing up for this program, and I kind of liked your pricing because it wasn't too cheap. But now that I checked the website, it's not there anymore. What happened?
Yeah, so I have a group coaching program with somebody called Jonathan Stark. His whole thing is hourly billing is nuts, if you haven't heard about him. And he does, so on our Thursday group coaching calls, he does teardowns of websites. So I had my website up, and then he could do a teardown of it. And everyone liked the pricing, and he liked the pricing. So the pricing will stay probably, but he was like, well, you're asking people to kind of pay, but then also sign up to hear more. So it's either or. And since I hadn't finalized the program yet, I took away the pricing and just put up to hear more. But as somebody else in the coaching program said, nobody really will sign up to hear more of something that's starting in July. So it's kind of just a draft. And we're I'm thinking about officially launching this weekend, and then pricing and the full program will be there. Because last week I didn't really have a program, but this week I have a full program and a super cool design. Did you like the new design?
Yeah, it looks super cool.
Yeah, Navigator Paul from the Gatsby Deep Dives with Queen Ray and the Nattermub Pirates made the design for me. So it's super fun. Not so piratical, because the pirates are back home and the Queen is throwing functions to raise more money for another voyage, I think is our backstory.
That sounds like that's what's happening. I'm sure about that.
Yes. So so the pricing is coming back, but I'm working on how to phrase it. So you like the pricing, because it was $250, $550, and then a lot.
I like a lot. No, actually, I thought it was pretty good pricing, because usually when you start thinking about stuff like that, you at least my gut feeling is always to make it way too cheap. And he's like, yeah, 29, 49, whatever. And then you end up selling a handful and have a lot of work, especially as you're doing coaching and stuff like that. And in the end, you realize, I'm putting a lot of effort into this, but not getting that much out of it. So yeah, aiming higher is probably the good idea there.
It's helped to be both in I've been in the pricing seminar with Jonathan Stark also, 2 rounds, I think. I didn't really complete them, but some of the knowledge is seeping in on how to do these things. And also, I think one of his tips for people like me who don't like writing, as we've talked about before, is to do these programs live. And then this will only be for the people listening to the show will know this, though, at this point. But it's to then, after you've done the live version, you can package it as an online course, because then you already have the videos and you can get them edited, but you get that live feel in the videos that I at least have a hard time getting if I'm just like photo or videotaping myself and there's no one there live. I get very bored, like, welcome to blah blah. So I want to do these live and then hopefully cut them so that they can work as an online course, and then add in the resources and other things that we need for it to be a course. And then the pricing would obviously be a little bit different, because then you won't get that personal, what's it called? Personal
coaching, mentoring.
Yeah. Not personal. I was going to try to say personal touch, but that felt wrong. You won't get that
as well.
Yeah, maybe that as well. Yeah, so this will be, then this summer will be one of those like cohort courses where you actually, I will follow up with you, and you will be able to ask questions in a small group setting, and also get pair programming if you want. While then this fall, you will be able to do it as a self-paced challenge.
Yeah. But I've seen people also like nonetheless include like a one-on-one pair programming session in the higher tiers, and then nobody takes them up on that. So
I could do that as well. Yeah, I could do that. But then price that, like it should be as well. We'll see though if anybody buys these. Like, this is the scary thing with something like this, where it's like a big launch and everybody has to pay before a certain date. While, with POW or a SaaS, like you also have, then it's a trickle, at least. Even for POW, when I don't do that much marketing, like I sell a little bit every month. It's not like all or nothing for a big launch date. But for summer functions, it's gonna be a big launch date. And then if nobody buys by that date, like, we're not gonna do it. Which is
yeah.
We probably will do it anyway, because the way I've set it up now is that we'll do live shows on Friday on YouTube, like we've done this spring with our Gatsby deep diving show. Just have summer function shows on Friday nights. That's going to be like a wrap up where we can showcase what people have done, in addition to the group coaching and the private webinar, where you get more of that mentoring and help. So we might probably still do it as that show then, if nobody buys. But crossing my fingers, people will buy.
Is there a limit of like only like 10 places or so, or is it open for everyone?
So the lowest tier, I guess it's called, will be open, I think, unlimited, because that's going to be the webinar, where you get access to the live webinar, where I show you how I would solve the challenges that we put up every week. And you can ask questions in the chat that is more real time than on YouTube, where it's like a 30-second delay. So it will feel like you actually have, access and no ads on YouTube, or the ads you would get on YouTube. So that would be on the lowest one. So I haven't decided either. I'm going to max it at like 30 or 40, or have it unlimited. I haven't decided. And then for the group setting, I'm thinking like max of 10, and then maybe have one kind of Europe time and one US time, or a morning US, which is nighttime here, and then a morning here in Europe. So those are the things I have to finalize before I then put up the prices again and actually push this out to the people this weekend. What do you think?
So, okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, so, sounds good to me. I think that makes sense, especially like limiting group sizes for the group coaching is probably a smart idea, because you don't want to have like, well, of course you want to have like as many people as possible paying you, but like for the group coaching, it gets kind of awkward and difficult to handle when it's like a big group of like, I don't know, 30 people or so.
Yeah, so I think
I like it.
for masterminds that I've been a part of, it's been like 5 to 6 people, which is a really nice size actually, because everybody gets to participate and we could show each other. My idea is that people will then come with their code or questions that they've had with the challenge, and then the group could help out with the challenge, and I can help out, and we can, or they can just show off what they've done if they manage to do it on their own, kind of as an accountability group as well. So I'm trying to figure out how to phrase exactly what the group coaching session, workshop, open office hours, I don't know what to call it, and exactly what it will include, but I'll get it done by Friday or Saturday, hopefully.
Yeah. I was also, now that you're talking about this a little bit more in detail, like I'm wondering if, like from past experience with like group coachings, it's always hard to get people to volunteer to show their solution and stuff like that. When you're lucky, there's like 1 or 2 who are like, yeah, I don't mind. I'll just share my screen or whatever, go into the front and show what I did. But from past experience, like it's hard. Yeah. Usually it's, you ask for who wants to present, and it's like quiet and everyone's looking at their feet. And
yeah, even if they need help. Because I was thinking if you need help, then you kind of want to show it so that you can get the help, but maybe not if you're like an introverted developer.
I have a feeling that, yeah, like if you're more of an introverted developer, like if you need help, that's probably even more of a reason to not.
Well, good points. Because actually in my first draft, I said that you needed to submit the questions beforehand. Because then I was thinking maybe a little bit of a bigger group. So if I do then limit groups at 10, so 10 for each slot, or only do 1 slot because it is my summer I might just do 1 slot and then some people won't be able to get it. But my idea was that you would submit questions in advance. So you could then email us and then maybe share your code, and then I could take that code and then show a solution, but I wouldn't have to say who had the problem.
Yeah.
It could be like somebody had this problem, I would solve it this way. And then if that person wants to, they could follow up and ask more questions. But if they want to stay hidden, they can then just like not say anything.
I think that's a good idea too. Yeah, to have an option for people to submit their questions, but be sure that they won't be singled out in a way. Like I mean, usually people always have the same problems, and it's not like they're the only one who didn't get a certain concept or something like that. But I think there's the fear of like asking a question and then being the only one who had that question and feeling dumb about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know the range of experience that will be. So the challenges will be quite open, so you can solve them in a way that serves your needs and your skill levels, but they all need you to make Gatsby function, a serverless function, to make it work. But the prompts are quite open. So the first one is collect emails on your website. And then you could, of course, send them to Userlist, or you could send them to a Google Sheet. You could send them to a database. You could do whatever you want with that email. And the use case can also be what you need. So it could be newsletter sign up, but it could also be event RSVP, or it could be a submission of some sort, like a waiting list submission, or so I'm hoping that people can like roll with it a little bit and like make stuff that they need. But if they have a hard time coming up with things, we will give them like a clear challenge, like, take a email and put it into a database or something like that, so they actually get it done. That's the plan.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, because I want it to be.
One thing I'd also do is like during the sign up process, ask them to self-rate their experience level, because that might help with forming groups. Like if you're like, if you get like super mixed group of like some super advanced people and some who are just starting out and have no experience with any of that stuff, then maybe it's not a good idea to have them in the same group, because like one will feel bored and the other feel overwhelmed, and I don't know.
Huh? This is good. This is good coaching. Thank you, Benedict. No, that's super. No, it's a good good insight. And also, I've made it so it says in the copy that it's for your existing Gatsby site. So I'm hoping to kind of not attract the people who are trying to learn programming. Like they would have some experience, at least with setting up their own Gatsby site, making some React components. And if you can make React components, you know JavaScript at least a little bit, so that you will be able to make these functions that are then vanilla JavaScript on the server, so that we don't have to start at like that level of how do we so it's not really for beginners. It's for either people who have learned to code using Gatsby, so they're experienced with Gatsby but maybe not experienced coders, or experienced coders wanting to learn kind of React through Gatsby and have set up their own blog or whatever with Gatsby. I'm feeling like those are the two kind of main targets.
I mean, I guess it's probably less of a problem in that case. Then it sounds like the audience is pretty well defined, and I guess
so. But it's hard to convey and copy on a landing page.
Yeah, for sure.
But at least I have like your existing Gatsby site, and then I'll have a little FAQ. Do I need to have a Gatsby site? Yes, you need to have a Gatsby site, or at least set up a Gatsby site before we start. We will not help you with that part.
Do you have a good way of reaching the Gatsby community to promote this?
Yes, so I know that Gatsby will promote it.
Okay, that's great. So I feel like that's one of the major problems you might run into.
Yeah, so I think we'll get
plan there, that's good.
I think we'll get good distribution. So if it fails, it's like solely because people do not want to learn things from me, or they don't like my copy. It's like I don't think I can blame it on like not getting distribution or not getting the word out. I then have to it's me in that case.
Well, good thing you have a plan there. I think that's the most important part.
So crossing my fingers that I don't have to spend my summer being sad. Nobody wants to have fun with me this summer, which is kind of the premise. We are saying like join the fun and learn Gatsby functions this summer, because I want it to be like a high energy kind of fun vibe like we have on our show as well. That's something I can contribute with in the dev community.
So you are committing to launching this weekend?
Yes, I am.
Good. That's the spirit. That's what I wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually I have a coaching call with Jonathan Stark tomorrow night, so I will have my stuff done by then, and then tweak it a little bit, and then it's live.
And let us know how it's going next week or the week after. I think you mentioned you're on vacation next week. So
yeah, we might be in the car if we have managed to get all the way to the cabin or all the way to the parking spot, and then gotten the boat to take us out to the island, and gotten up all the way into the cabin and packed out the mic. I will be here. But if not, I will not.
Unlikely.
But I'll send you a little letter like I wanted Brian to do, and you can read out my like summer letter from the island.
That sounds like a plan. Let's do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are we now going into your productive week? I've been trying to like toss the ball over to you for 40 minutes.
We can do this now. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's probably looks more productive from the outside than it actually was. I feel like I've been slacking off a little bit.
You said you felt productive, which is the best part.
Yeah, I guess that's the part that counts. At least like there was a lot of output. Let's put it that way. We shipped stuff.
Yay!
Namely, we shipped a big update to our Zapier integration. Basically motivated by the Zapier integration being reviewed that quickly. last week I spent a lot of time, or a bunch of time, adding more trigger types to the Zapier integration. So now almost all of the triggers that are available as like automation triggers inside of Userlist are now also available on Zapier to do stuff elsewhere. So we added a trigger for new custom events from companies and users, as well as events when users or companies join or leave segments, which feels like this is the power feature of Userlist anyways. And you can now like forward that event to other tools. So that's pretty exciting.
I mean, it looks super slick. When I saw the tweet, I was like, yes, of course, this is how it should be. Like, it looks, as I said, the no-coders will be happy. You should try to reach out to some of them. There are some big personalities in the space that you could try to get on board.
We're currently working on some more SAP templates for like examples on what people could do. And we're planning to improve our knowledge base a little bit, because this is now our third integration, so it feels like it's finally okay to have an integrations category in our knowledge base. So I think that's a couple of the things we're still doing before we are officially launching it. But yeah, like it's getting exciting. And the funny thing is now, like whenever we like ship an update, almost immediately afterwards we have like ideas for like 5 new things that we should probably add. So, currently this is version 1.1, and I already started working on 1.2. We're probably going to ship that later this week. So yeah, it's exciting.
Well, like, so you have a solid foundation since you're able to ship these features for Zapier. Like, it looks from the outside, it looks like your code base is pretty solid. Like, foundation of the code base is solid, since you're able to do these you can be so productive with the Zapier integration.
Yeah, like I think the critical part is like, I think I finally got the backend implementation on our side in a good enough state, and now everything is, as I said, like just reusing the triggers we're already using elsewhere. It's all hooking into the same system, and it's just like distributing the events to other places. And yeah, as you said, that makes it super easy to add those new trigger types pretty quickly. That's kind of nice. Yeah, and the other big thing I'm working on is the double opt-in feature. I was able to put some more work on into it last week, and I finally have an implementation that doesn't suck as much as the first one. So I was finally feeling good enough about it to actually commit the code and add some tests to it, and push it to GitHub. And there's already an open pull request. I'm not going to merge it yet, because in the process I discovered like 4 more edge cases that I need to think about, because it like having like unopted in users in there like has weird effects on almost every other thing. But at least the part about like hiding users from the UI and from the system is working well enough. Like, I didn't end up using database views like I promised I'd do last week, but anyways, the solution we have now is working decently, I guess. So that's exciting. But yeah, as I said, like new challenges came up, and I'm looking to the side here to my whiteboard where I started a list of things that I have to solve before we ship this.
Oh, I'm jealous about this whiteboard. You need to take photos of that and put on Twitter. You need to see the whiteboard.
Yeah, it doesn't look that exciting, but it's useful stuff like that. Yeah. Anyways, that's that part. I kind of wanted to have it shipped, and by the end of last week, but yeah, it's still.
But what are all these weird? Like, who knew that double opt-in was such a hard thing?
Let me check the whiteboard real quick. It's hidden, like the whiteboard is behind my door. So when the door is open, I don't see the whiteboard. So I have to close the door to be actually able to read it. So one thing that came up is right now, like as we talked about last week, when you send a user via the API and mark them as like, hey, this user needs to double opt-in, we store them in the database and send an email with like, here's your double opt-in link. The thing is, what happens if they don't click that link within a reasonable amount of time, and then let's say a week later they submitted a sign-up form on your website? Like they're already in the system. We're already waiting for them to confirm, but they haven't yet. Are we sending them a new email?
Yes.
Are we just waiting for them to discover that old email?
No, you send them a new email because it means they try to sign up again.
Yeah, but so that's one way to do this, and it makes sense. But what if for some reason your app sends the same user update every 5 minutes? Do we send them an email every time?
Well, my app shouldn't do that.
Yeah, your app shouldn't do that. I agree. But what if it still does? So
I get it. Yeah, edge cases. People
I guess
do weird things with APIs. So yes,
there has to be a way to like send those emails in a reasonable cadence.
Have you tested what the others do? Have you like gone in and tried to sign up for a ConvertKit form like every 3 minutes?
I have not tested that part yet. Maybe I should, but then again, I don't really care because ultimately, what do they know?
Yeah, no, but sometimes when I get into these edge cases that I suddenly think about when I'm like working, and then I think, well, this needs to be solved, and then I check with other applications, and it's like, oh, they just haven't solved it because obviously it's not happening that often. Otherwise, people would be complaining more, and sometimes obviously people are complaining, and that's why you change between services and amongst features and other things. But sometimes, at least when I go into these like coding holes, that sometimes I like find edge cases that like aren't really, they're edge cases, but they're really edge cases. They're edge cases.
Yeah, they're super
and
rare,
maybe you can ignore some of them.
I agree. There are probably some in there that I can ignore. I'm not entirely sure if I can ignore this particular one because it sounds like this one might be important.
Yeah.
Then the other one that I discovered is, so like we recently launched this companies feature where you can like group people into companies. Mm-hmm. And in the UI, we now show like a list of this is a company and those are the users that belong to that company. And what do we do with users that haven't opted in yet? Like, there should probably be invisible, even though they're already added to the company and stuff like that. And what happens to events like people, like a user joined the company, user left the company, like all of that stuff now has to kind of respect the fact that they are not opted in yet and officially don't exist yet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably one of those things that aren't a super bad edge case, but feels like we should at least think about the solution and then be either okay with explicitly not solving it, or at least trying to come up with a halfway decent solution. Same thing, by the way, for events that happen. Like events can be connected to both a user and a company. Mm-hmm. So should they be ignored until the user is opted in, or should it just pretend the user doesn't exist and stuff like that? So those are the things I have to solve. Yeah. And then the last one, and it's probably one where your opinion would be interesting, is should double opt-in be a setting? Like, should this be something that you can enable and disable on your account? Because like it's not required by law everywhere around the world. It's just like, of course, you need to have it in Europe and stuff like that. But in the US, if you feel like you don't want like this conversion rate breaking thing in there, you might want to just disable it. So now we're wondering if we should have a setting and what should be the default setting for the setting.
Yeah, no, we talked a little bit about it last week about how I would like to be able to override it at any point through the API. So I could, even if you now have a setting and you say that it should be a double opt-in, if I say that they're opted in through an API point, then it should ignore the setting. So I can add users that I've already created. If they created an account and they log in and they toggle a button to say, yes, I want the newsletter, then I'm not going to send them another double opt-in, another email to confirm that they toggled the button. So, but so I keep comparing to ConvertKit because that's what I've been using for them. It's like on every form. So you have to add people to forms. So you create forms, and even if you are going to add them with the API, you have to add them to a form. You can also add them to a tag. And if you add them to a tag, then there is no double opt-in. If you add them to a form, then it depends on the form setting. So each form has a setting if it should be double opt-in or not. So you can create forms that you embed on your site or that you use with your API that then where you disable double opt-in for that form. But they have a different kind of system of how you're adding people because you're adding them to these forms because you can have multiple newsletters in one account, which I guess you could do with your system as well, because you can add you could have a custom field that would just be like a comma separated list of the newsletters they're subscribed to, or separate custom fields for each newsletter. But for them, at least, the option is connected to the form and not to the whole account.
Yeah, I think we're still going to have that part, like that you can like decide on a per form level, and also like have a way to send it like as an option via the API. But do you feel like we need to have like a global setting?
No, because I like the ConvertKit approach, which is it is on by default on all forms, just because that's good form. Like that's how you should do it. And then you can disable it if you say, yeah, I have good reasons to disable this specific form. Then you disable it on the form, but you don't. I don't think you can disable it for the whole account.
Okay.
And I feel like ethically that would be the correct way to do it. Like a little bit of friction for to disable double opt-in if you're not using an API where you're saying like, this is my user, and you can say this is a user who's logged in. So we're going to do because I guess double opt-in is mostly to in case somebody signs somebody else up.
Yeah.
So if I sign somebody else up for your newsletter, then that person never confirms. But as long as it's my users that I have control over, like it makes no sense to double opt-in because they are my users already.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Maybe even we just maybe just have it on the form as a setting and have it default to off everywhere else. Yeah, I think
that would be similar to then ConvertKit, because if you add people to a tag, then they don't go through a form, and if they don't go through a form, double opt-in is not on.
Yeah,
because in ConvertKit 2 you can create the double opt-in message. The text in the email is different for each form.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking of doing as well.
I'm your ConvertKit spy.
Sometimes it's good to like get some like first-hand experience on how other people solve this, and there's always this weird like dynamic between, of course, like for one thing, like I don't think like copying what other people do or other products do is necessarily a good thing. And I firmly believe that like you should just like try to come up with the best solution you can on your own, or like with your knowledge. But the flip side of this is like, if your solution is unique enough that nobody else gets it because they're so used to something else. It's probably also not a good solution. So yeah, there's a fine line between just like copying every stupid mistake from other products or just like being too unique of a butterfly of products that nobody gets it.
I mean, you have that great expression that is, people say, Pablo Picasso said it, good artists copy and great artists steal. And there's some debate about what that means, but when you kind of steal, you make it your own, right? So you could say it's both that you steal, but you make it your own. It's or you just steal. It's often to debate, but I like that quote.
Yeah,
because if you're, because it's kind of alludes to what you were saying too, about you need to understand why they've done it that way, and if that makes sense for your product. You're not just gonna like copy whatever they did without understanding it in your own context. You have to understand it in your own context. But sometimes, as you said, it's good to see what other people do also from what users expect, as you said. Because if if I'm used to like ConvertKit and MailChimp and all those others, and then suddenly I end up becoming that intern in HBO because I didn't understand some setting in Userlist, then that's not good either for your case,
Yeah. We might or might not have had a customer last week that sent an email to the wrong crowd. Not entirely sure why that is, if it was a problem with the product or something else, but this happens to us as well.
I mean, it happens to everyone. And I also heard, for HBO, it's a great marketing opportunity. And I've heard that before, even so much so that I think I've seen in some like marketing kind of playbooks that sending a wrong email, and you do it not as a mistake, you do it consciously. You send an email that looks wrong, because then you can follow up with an email that is like, oh, sorry, we sent the wrong email, because people will open that email.
Mm-hmm.
They won't open the regular weekly email, but they'll open the, oh, sorry, we sent you the wrong email. So it's actually like a good marketing thing, because then you can send the apology email, and that gets higher open rates than your regular emails. Think about that the next time you get a wrong email.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I feel like if you overdo this one, that might backfire.
Oh, it might. But I've after I heard somebody talk about that, it always, when I get like 2 or 3 emails in a row from some of these like gurus where it's like, oh, I sent the wrong date, or something like that, I'm like, but did you? I don't know anymore.
Yeah. Now you planted an idea in my mind. Like, next time I'm getting an email like this, I know what's going on.
Yeah, you'll be like, yeah, right, that was an error. Marketing ploy. Yeah. I don't know. I guess as makers, sometimes I can be a little too cynical. It's like it's like you see behind the kind of the playbook of these companies.
Yeah. It's like, that reminds me of the, hey, I'm the founder of so and so. I just noticed you signed up, and I thought I'd reach out. And I'm like,
yeah,
sure.
You didn't. No, you didn't. And especially since I just replied to your first email with a question, and then 2 days later, I get the, hey, I saw you just sign up, but no reply to my question from 2 days ago. So no, I don't think you just saw me sign up.
That makes me always super conscious when I'm actually sending an email like that, where I notice that someone signed up and I'm now writing them a personal note. I always try to make it as obvious that this is really a personal note.
Yeah.
But it's not as easy.
No, it's not easy. Like, when you do it when you're actually emailing somebody manually. These things get hard because they get exploited so fast. So, I got an postcard from O'Dare, which is a uptime monitoring that I signed up for, which was really nice. And it was printed So it wasn't handwritten. So it was obviously, sent as a part of an automation, but it was really nice. I liked it. It was like, it's nice to get a card these days. Like, it's whatever else do I get in the mail?
Yeah.
But then I've seen you can also get the same kind of card, but handwritten. And who knows how my handwriting as a founder is. So if you listener ever get a handwritten postcard from a founder, I am here to I don't know, smear, whatever, that illusion as well, because it's probably not handwritten by the founder. It's written by a automated handwritten postcard service.
Yeah, that's true. I have a friend. I'm not entirely sure if I'm allowed to name him.
Then you say you can name them, because then we don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Well, anyways, the point is, like, the company they work at, they basically build robots to put handwritten notes on, like, their, I think they send, like, reports or something, like, to people, and they would add, like, a personal note on all of them written by a robot.
Yeah.
So that's like next level stuff.
It's like, because I was like, oh, I want to send postcards, but then I was like, well, they're just gonna think it's it's automated, and I'm not gonna spend all this time writing handwritten notes. And then it turns out, like, everyone who gets them think they're automated, but maybe not everybody thinks that way. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, maybe that's exactly the point you made earlier. Maybe we're just too cynical.
Yeah,
like, being in this makes us, like, not appreciate any of it.
I'll have the intern who's 6 draw thank you notes, I think.
That could work.
Maybe I should automate her. Automated kids drawing to look like you. Sorry, we're on a tangent. I'm sorry I took us on that, or not sorry that I took you on the tangent. Now everybody knows that all these cute things are just automated.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not. If they come from me, they're not automated. Or maybe they are.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Or should we wrap it up for this week?
We could wrap it up, I think.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Then thanks for being on the show again. And where I'm thanking you, you're a co-host now. You're obliged to be there.
I'm obliged to be here. It's a nice obligation. It's a nice obligation.
Good.
I got a lot out of it. I can't wait until I need to discuss code, like actual coding problems. I feel like I could get a lot of help from you. So that will be fun when that comes.
I have no idea about Gatsby whatsoever, so don't get your hopes up.
No, well, I don't know anything about whatever database provider you have chosen. We still had some good conversations about Double Opt-In.
True, yeah. Well done. Maybe talk to you next week, and if not, see you in 2 weeks.